So apparently some Cirrus engineer saw this wonderful tool for timing Continental engines and said, you know what, I can fix that. Because he did. Or she. And they made it so that you can't even get to the back of the prop bolts, let alone try and do any timing off of it, thanks to that baffle. So this morning we're gonna have to go back to the horrendous, outdated timing bucket that Continental wants you to use, even though it is less precise and less efficient. And as you can see, I've taped it to the front of the prop dome because that was the only way to really do it. Now they do have those hooks and you can put some elastic bands around the prop blades, but I've never seen those hold as well as a couple pieces of good old speed tape, because now it's on there enough that I can't make it move. I'm actually wiggling the airplane by doing that. So on to the horrendous way of timing engines. So to make sure we are on the right stroke, remember on a 4-stroke you have some strokes are not the compression stroke at top dead center when the mags are going to fire, and that's what we need to be checking for. So I have the bottom spark plug in, and we want to make sure we're on the compression stroke. So there we go. You want to back it off a little bit just to make sure we're putting the pin in the right spot so that it will touch the pin as it's supposed to on the compression stroke, help us find top dead center. And then of course you just screw that pin into the cylinder head, spark plug hole, and it definitely helps to get the spark plug socket to run this down. It's the same size as a spark plug, which is your 7/8. And this is actually the aircraft tool supply version, not the Champion one. A little bit cheaper, magnetic. You need to get one if you work on GA at all. Okay, so with the piston pin stop in the piston, we're going to turn this in the direction of rotation, which means we're pulling on the sharp side of the blade, the side that they tell you normally not to touch when you're turning a propeller. Always turn the fat side. You're not likely to trip the magnetos and cause it to fire on you. Then you line up, that's bottom center, we want top center. Line up top center, tap the disc, and that way you know that the pointer just didn't get a little hung up on its bearing. So we're on top center. Now we turn the fat side of the blade the way you're supposed to normally turn propeller blades. And we don't go fast, because you're going to shock load everything, the piston and the piston pin and all those things, the connecting rod, crankshaft, if you do it fast. Okay, now we've touched the piston the other direction. Okay, so now we take the reading, let's see, from top center to here, we're 104. So 104 divided in half is 52. So now we will turn this disc to what my eye says is 52. Then remove the piston pin, or not the piston stop pin, the timing pin right here. We got to remove that before we go any further. And with that out, now we can go on to the actual timing. So we got our trusty little timing light. You've got it connected to something metal on the engine, which would be grounded to the rest of it. And we have the timing wires hooked up to the different P leads on the different mags. We can show that. Oh yeah, there's the red one on the left. And since we know that all the spark plugs are out and the spark plug wires are disconnected, we can put the mags on both instead of actually disconnecting the P leads, which is a good way to lose hardware on a Continental, especially one on an SR22 with all that intake plumbing up in the way of trying to get to where the P leads are actually located. Just another part of working smarter, not harder. So now if we watch the magneto timing box lights, we're going to turn this back to top center. We're going to go past top center to make sure the impulse couplings get loaded, and then we're going to unload them. Okay, so we know we're very close. Then we're going to go back and we're going to look at the engine data plate, see what our timing is, which is left and right, 22 degrees before top center. Then we're going to turn this slowly, bumping it really, towards top center. Alright, let's see, we got one that went off. Remember, tap this disc. Alright, we're 23-ish. Both of them. I'm calling that 22 and a half. I could chase that all day, or I could say good enough, because this thing is so imprecise. Like, I can tap it literally, and I could be, you know, 1 or 2 degrees off from when I did my 52, and then from a, you know, 104 and all that kind of stuff, and it might not change anything on the engine. That's the one downside to this timing bucket. I'll throw this thing across the hanger. That's the downside of the timing bucket. It is less precise than something you can visually sight that isn't depending on friction and gravity. And I mean, we can even lube this bolt and try and get it a little bit more precise. Chasing, you know, 1 degree, I could do it. I don't know that it's really actually 1 degree off. The bucket could be off. And with this setup, you really need to go back and do this a couple times before you even start adjusting the magneto, just to make sure that your initial top center setting is correct. That's the downside of the bucket. That's why it is the least precise way to do it versus a gear tooth that you can line up directly on the side, which would be another wonderful way to do it, because this is one of the Continental engines with a gear driven alternator on the side of the crankcase, which means it has a gear which is fixed to the crankshaft, which does not move, which has markings, and there is a plug under there that I could time it with, but I can't get to it. It's up there somewhere. Well, maybe this is one that isn't drilled for it as well. That could be too. But you can see the boss for it where it would be if it was on this engine. But yeah, they really went out of their way to make this not so great to time. But there you go. So I'm gonna run through this a couple more times. Take a, you know, is it 1 degree off? Is it a half a degree off? Is it 2 degrees off? 2 degrees, I start to go, okay, maybe I really need to get in there and chase it with the bucket. Or is it Lycoming, or the Continentals with this nice timing device? I'll get it dead on to the degree. Maybe have it splitting the degree if I can with the mags. With the bucket, if you're within 2, you're actually doing pretty good. And whatever you do, do not forget your magneto key. Always a good idea. I know when I'm running engines, I'll put it up on top of the dashboard when I'm done. That way it's obvious when we're, you know, the engine's hot and we're dropping the oil and doing the compressions, that the key is out and the prop is not loaded, because safety first. But never forget the key, because if you forget it, you go to put it all back together, now you've just made yourself a loaded prop. And of course, you know, anytime you hear the magneto impulse couplings do that, they're releasing a spring, spinning the magneto at the top dead center location with enough force to fire the plugs and possibly kick the prop around and ruin your day.